My friends on the Republican side like to paint me as the big spender. But let's look at the facts. Facts matter. Under my predecessor, the deficit exploded, rising every single year he was in office. Under my plan, we're on track to cut the federal deficit this year by $1.7 trillion. Hear me now?
What I love that Rick Scott just said is that he's lying about reducing the deficit. I agree. That's exactly the truth. I grabbed onto that because he's saying, look, we're reducing the deficit. Well, all of that spending came under the Trump administration, but he said it specifically, we are cutting the deficit. That's not true. Those programs are ending. If anything, they've made inflation worse by proposing more spending. But luckily, they've gotten pushback on a lot of their new spending.
That's a risky victory lap. You could stumble at the finish line as soon as, I don't know, as many are predicting, a recession could be right around the corner.
It's a failing strategy. For some reason, the only person not paying attention to all of these polls is Joe Biden and his White House. I've never seen such a clear-cut case for how to respond to what the American people say is most important to them. And that's the key about Americans. You don't tell them what's important to them, they tell you. And they're telling us inflation, immigration. In Joe Biden's America, mothers can't find infant formula.
Does the administration agree with Diamond that an economic hurricane of some magnitude is coming?
Well, certainly we can't predict the future, but I think what we're all watching and the policies that the president's putting out there and that we're all working on, whether it's the creation of jobs or whether it's dealing with inflation, certainly this has been a very challenging time for us in this economy over the last 18 months here. Move forward a step at a time here to prevent that quite honestly, hurricane that Jamie was talking about from hitting us directly.
You're not saying Jamie Dimon's wrong. I hear you saying he might be right.
No, what I heard Jamie Dimon just say was that we were potentially going to get hit with a hurricane. It could be a severe rainstorm, or it could be worse than that. And I think that there's no question about that. We can't really predict the future right now. I think it's uncertain how it's going to be in the future.
It's a hurricane. Right now, it's kind of sunny. Things are doing fine. Everyone thinks the Fed can handle this. That hurricane is right out there down the road coming our way. We just don't know if it's a minor one or Superstorm Sandy.
Because unlike my predecessor, the deficit has come down both years I've been here. I proposed a plan to keep shrinking that deficit.
But even with that $360 billion decline, Brianna, experts I spoke to still scoffed at the idea that President Biden is personally responsible for having reduced the deficit. In fact, told me that this claim is almost bizarro world, a reversal of reality. The deficit was expected to fall by more than $360 billion at the time President Biden took office. In fact, at the time, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office had projected that the deficit would fall by more than $870 billion in 2021 if President Biden did not implement new policy. Then President Biden came in and, like most presidents, Brianna, did new policy. There's a $1.9 trillion.
I know that even with today's good news, a lot of Americans remain anxious, and I understand the feeling. I grew up in a family since I took office, families are carrying less debt. Their average savings are up. I've been very clear that fighting inflation is my top economic priority.
OPEC doing enough on oil production?
Well, what I recently read is talking to my team that they acknowledge that there is an oil shortage, and they have made an announcement of late that they're going to increase production. So I don't know enough to know whether it's enough, but I know it's positive.
Formula, I know you got a lot of questions about this yesterday. I'm wondering if you had an opportunity to speak with the president since his comments yesterday when he said he was not informed about the situation until May. Has he expressed any disappointment in his staff for not bringing this issue to him earlier? Are there any concerns about the information flow in the White House that, given the manufacturers told him very directly they knew this would be a problem in February and he didn't know about it until months later? Has he expressed concern about that gap and how that squares with the whole of government approach you outlined yesterday?
So, this is something that we're going to continue to work on.
Right, but that doesn't answer the question about when the president was informed and whether or not he is satisfied with his staff not telling him about what has become a major problem.
Well, he spoke to when he was informed. He spoke to that yesterday, which was in April. And you're asking me about the process and is he disappointed? Look, Again, I'm telling you, the administrator of FDA spoke to this. They moved too slowly.
That's the FDA administrator, that's not the president. Those are two different
No, but I'm
individuals.
telling you the process. I'm telling you what happened. We acted. We took urgent action. So that is the way that it happened. That is the way the timeline was laid out, and so that is. You may not like my answer, but that is the way that we see it in answering your question there. Go ahead.
Out tomorrow morning, the ADP report that came out came in much lower than what economists had projected. Are you guys expecting the less than optimal jobs report tomorrow? And usually the president speaks on the economy on jobs day. Is he going to do that, even though he's going to be in Delaware?
So I don't have anything. We don't have anything to preview for you for tomorrow. Our day ahead or daily guidance is going to be coming out in a couple of hours. I don't have an estimate for you and haven't seen the numbers as clearly. But what we can say is that as we transition to this new period of stable, steady growth, we aren't looking to see blockbuster job reports month after month like we have over the last year, but that's a good thing. That's the sign of a healthy economy with steady job growth, rising wages for working Americans, everyday cost easing up, and a shrinking deficit. That stability will put us in a strong position to tackle inflation.
And my plan does all this without raising a penny in taxes on people making less than $400,000 a year, and without raising the deficit at all.